Let's go to Lata ma'am and Ritu, both of us who are with us to understand this better. Lata?
Well, I mean, what can I say? This is extremely shocking. We had reported as early as, I think, 2 months back that Governor Patel is extremely upset. But let me read the statement itself by the governor. On account of personal reasons, I've decided to step down from my current position effective immediately. It's been my privilege and honor to serve in the Reserve Bank in various capacities over the years. The support and hard work of RBI staff, officers and management has been the proximate driver of the bank's considerable accomplishments in recent years. I take this opportunity to express gratitude to my colleagues and directors of the Central Board and wish them all the best for the future. Oh my God, I'm sorry I came in running and hence not able to take this. This is very, very serious news. Not a very pleasant day at all. Everything that I will say now is only conjecture. But that Dr. Patel was extremely upset that, Section 7 was even considered is very well known. This channel had reported this, I think in the first week of November, in the run-up to the November 19th board meeting, that Governor Patel was extremely upset that Section 7 had been used on 3 occasions. We also know that Governor Patel was upset that there was political appointments to the Reserve Bank board. And a third thing that certainly seemed to have upset him is what is going to happen on December 14th. We understand that governance of the Reserve Bank is going to come under the ambit of the board, and that the government wants the board to oversee everything that the Reserve Bank is doing, important functions like foreign exchange management, monetary policy transmission, banking regulation. Banking regulation anyway is under the Board of Financial Supervision. So it was probably the last straw, and it's quite possible that the agenda papers for December 14th have arrived, and maybe they are unacceptable. I mean, all this is conjecture. Exactly what is the last straw on the camel's back and what exactly led to this is going to remain conjecture. Like the last minutes of the demonetization.
But what is surprising is that in the last board meeting, from the outcome of the board meeting of the several issues that were flashpoints between the government and the RBI, it seemed there was some, conclusion as far as some of these points are concerned. There was some, withdrawal, some settlement on both the sides with respect to many matters.
Absolutely. I mean, I take a point.
So
let's listen into Subramaniam Swamy, the first BJP reaction that's come in on Urjit Patel's resignation.
I don't know what the personal reasons are, but the fact is that it is, in my opinion, his resignation at this time would be wrong for the government, would be wrong for the economy, wrong for the Reserve Bank. So I think the Prime Minister should call him and find out from him what could be the personal reasons and dissuade him from leaving. This is what I think the Prime Minister should do.
But sir, some tension between Finance Ministry and...
Well, that's always been there. Whenever there is an independent, non-rubber stamp Reserve Bank governor, there's always been problems. It's not new. But ultimately, they had a meeting and it was supposed to have been sorted out. So now I'd like to know what the issue is. I mean, if he's now saying personal reasons, the Prime Minister has to persuade him that in the larger public interest, he can't leave at this stage.
Raghuram Rajan joins us. Dr. Rajan, appreciate you joining us here. Sir, you've been fairly vociferous in your criticism in the manner in which matters between the government and the Reserve Bank have been handled. And now we've got Urjit Patel tendering in his resignation. The Prime Minister and the Finance Minister tweeting saying they appreciate his work and wishing him luck. But what does this mean for the Reserve Bank of India? What does it mean for India and the economy?
I'm sort of on this call. I don't know how I'm connected directly to an online live program. Anyway, let me be very brief. I do think this is a serious issue. It needs to be dealt with carefully. The government has to ask what led to this resignation. Resignations are not frequent at the RBI. This is probably only the second resignation in its history, maybe the first explicit resignation. And therefore, we have to look at the circumstances that led to it. It's a statement of dissent, and therefore the government has to be very careful in dealing with it such that the autonomy of the institution as well as its credibility is preserved.
But Dr. Rajan, you say it's a statement of dissent, but the governor's own statement says nothing of the sort. It says, I'm resigning due to personal reasons. If you believe that this is in fact a statement of dissent, would it not have been then accurate for the outgoing governor to have said so?
No, I think you have to, in all these cases, read between the lines. It may well be that health is involved, but I think we also have to look at the circumstances in which this decision is made and ask what prompted it. So I think it's useful to go over the kind of dialogue that's taken place over the last...
we had reported this last night, and he was the front runner, and it is now finally Shaktikanta Das.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a man who comes with a lot of experience. He has worked with this government and with past governments. So there is a certain continuity and comfort with various regimes. By the way, Tamil Nadu order, Shireen, he belongs to the Tamil Nadu order. He can speak Tamil. That's a very important qualification for the job he is in. I mean, bridges a lot of divides, as as is important in this job. But importantly, Mr. Das definitely comes with a lot of experience. And his tenure, he was the DEA secretary when Raghuram Rajan was Governor Reserve Bank, and believed to have had fairly cordial relations with the Reserve Bank. So perhaps will be a very, very accepted face. In fact, I must tell you this, there were senior RBI guys who have now retired, just retired, recently retired, who actually fervently hoped it would be an IAS officer, simply because peace would return and they can get down to work at last rather than be mired in controversies. Someone who could pick up the phone and someone who would be respected. Shaktikanta Das would be a senior to a lot of people in finance ministry, in commerce ministry, and therefore there wouldn't be angry exchanges. There would be deferential towards a senior, and hence perhaps work would get done, or at least disagreements resolved amicably. So I actually today got ex-RBI guys telling me that perhaps a good idea to apply a salve on all these wounds is to actually get an IAS officer. And this was when I asked them what would their reaction be to Shaktikanta Das. At the moment, the G20 Sherpa, so he's also quite familiar with some important political entities around the world because of the recent G20 meet as well, where he was seen as a key official. So Shaktikanta Das certainly comes with a lot of qualifications, been there, done that, and therefore has seen the equation from the government's side, and now as Finance Commission understands the fiscal backdrop in which monetary decisions will have to be taken. Certainly a man who will perhaps be able to mend fences. We will have to wait and see, of course, the famous statement from Dr. Subbarao that when an IAS officer takes the flight and lands in Mumbai, somewhere in the flight he becomes an RBI man. The organization has the ability to just own up and capture the incumbent at Mint Street.
Absolutely.
So we will wait and see.
The Finance Ministry has sent many to the Reserve Bank of India's Governor. Nilesh Shah, quick reaction. Shaktikanta Das as RBI Governor. What do you make of the government's decision?
No, I think this is an excellent choice. As Lata said, he has all the right credentials which are really suited for the job, and I think this is an excellent choice. I think his past credentials, past experience will ensure that there is compatibility with the government and the Ministry of Finance. Of course, his new hat will require him to kind of bring about and ensure autonomy of the RBI. So I clearly think this is a great choice, and I think his top priority would be to strike the right balance between autonomy as well as compatibility.
Summits. Hear out what the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had to say.
The government has taken a decision to appoint Shri Shaktikanta Das as the new Governor of the Reserve Bank of India. This was necessitated by the resignation of the outgoing former Governor, Dr. Urjit Patel. Shri Shaktikanta Das has been a very senior and an experienced civil servant. I think he has the right credentials. He has been extremely professional, has worked under various governments, and has excelled himself. And I'm sure in meeting the challenges before India's economy as a governor of the Reserve Bank, he'll certainly add to that office. The government of India strongly believes that the Reserve Bank is an independent and an autonomous body.
All right, so that was the Finance Minister's reactions on the appointment of the new RBI governor. Let's also hear...
You know, I can't see. Okay, so good evening, dear friends. Thank you for coming over at a very short notice. Your colleagues and friends in Delhi are very upset with me. Of course, I can see some of them here, because yesterday they were all trying to reach me, and I was not able to speak to the media in Delhi yesterday. So I'm sure they would be very upset, but there will be other opportunities to speak to them. So I want to be very brief, and I'm not really planning to make any, major announcements or anything like that, because it needs time for me to settle down to study all the issues. I just want to mention a few points. First, you would be aware that I assumed charge today in the morning as the 25th governor, and I am grateful for all the good wishes which I have received from many of you who are present here. The RBI is a great institution. It has got a very long legacy, a very rich legacy, and I will do everything that is possible. I'll try and uphold the professionalism, the core values, the credibility and the autonomy of the Reserve Bank as an institution. I have interacted at various levels with the officials of the Reserve Bank of India over the last 10 years or more than 10 years. And the interaction has been not only at the senior levels, but also at the middle level and even down the line. And there were situations where I was leading delegations from Government of India, which included officers from Reserve Bank of India, and I always found that they possess inherent core competence and professionalism to deal with any technical issue, be it monetary aspects or be it other aspects of currency management or other aspects of work relating to the functioning of central bank. So I'm looking forward to work with the entire team of officers and staff of the Reserve Bank of India. Now, it's a great opportunity for any individual and especially for me to work in RBI and thereby to serve the country. That might sound a bit cliched, but it is indeed a great opportunity. And I will work as a team with other officials here in the best interest of the economy and try and take measures in a timely manner on issues, on aspects which the economy requires or which are in the best interest of the Indian economy. Decision making in the modern times have become very complex. Today we are living in a very dynamic world. It's much more dynamic than what it was, say, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago is a long period in the past, but even 3 years or 5 years ago. Decision making in today's world has become far more complex. And consultation with stakeholders is very important. Consultation with all the stakeholders always adds value to our understanding of issues. It adds depth to our understanding of issues. So therefore, I propose to undertake consultations wherever necessary as per requirement in a need-based manner on various issues. To begin with, I have convened a meeting with the MD and CEOs of the MDs and the CEOs of the public sector banks tomorrow in the morning. And as you know, banking is an important segment of our economy, and it's currently facing several challenges which are of critical importance and they need to be dealt with. There have been, I'm not implying in any manner that nothing has been done. A lot has been done. A lot has been done both by the government and by the Reserve Bank of India. Several measures have been taken, but many more measures also perhaps need to be taken. So tomorrow morning, I propose to undertake a consultation with the MDs and CEOs of the public sector banks who are based in Mumbai. Then immediately after that, maybe after another few days, I'll hold a consultation with the chiefs of public sector banks which are located outside Mumbai, because you cannot expect people who are outside Mumbai to come at such a short notice. Then subsequently at some stage I will have an interaction with the private sector banks also to understand the issues relating to them. So on the whole, it's a banking sector which I would like to focus immediately, but this will be followed by other kind of stakeholder consultations as may be required. There are a number of issues ahead. We have, of course, as you know, after the amendment of the Reserve Bank of India Act, the inflation targeting continues to be very important. And it's very heartening to note that the inflation, broadly, it is as per the targets. And the inflation outlook also looks fairly benign at this stage, but we have to be very watchful of the developments. The issue of health of public sector banks, I have already mentioned, that's an important issue. The issue of liquidity also comes up in the media space and in the public space from time to time. There again, I think that will be an area where one has to interact with stakeholders and get an internal feedback and then take a view on these issues. The maintenance of the growth trajectory of the Indian economy is also important. And so there are several areas which a central bank has to be dealing with. And so we will focus on those areas. And all these issues have been under focus. Let me make it very clear. It's not as if these areas did not receive any attention. I want to be very clear that all these aspects have been receiving focus, but it's a continuing exercise on the part of the central bank. So therefore, we will continue to focus on these areas. And you may be aware that the central board meeting is scheduled to be held on the 14th of December. So we will hold the central board meeting as planned and go through the agenda and discuss the various issues that are listed. And I must also, before I conclude, like to make note of the stewardship provided by my predecessor, Dr. Urjit Patel, to the Reserve Bank of India in the last 2.5 years. And I would like to also convey my best wishes to Dr. Urjit Patel for all his future endeavors. So thank you. I'll stop here.
So, can you tell us something about...
So I'll just take very few questions because as I mentioned earlier...
So will the issue... one word on capital.
Just one moment. Just one. I'll start here and come back. Yes.
Sir, I would like to know that there is a view that the RBI management should be accountable to the RBI board, and many important decisions should be there in the board. The board should have many committees. This is the view from the government, which the RBI under the previous governor's regime resisted, protested. What is your view on the issue of governance for RBI, which is a very important issue that will be discussed on the board meeting on 14th?
No, I would not like to go into what were the issues or what are the issues between government, which is an important, which runs the country, and the Reserve Bank of India. But every institution, every institution has to have its professional integrity, maintain its professional autonomy. At the same time, every institution also must adhere to principles of accountability.
Sir, if I can please take a question, sir, you're coming in at a time. You're coming in at a time.
I'll just come. Yes.
Sir, the Reserve Bank's capital has been a contentious issue. What are your views? Do you expect the committee to take a call before the fiscal year is out?
No, let the committee be constituted. I think as you are aware, the committee has to be constituted, and I think very shortly the committee will be constituted. And then the terms of reference of the committee will drop, so that will spell out how much time is required. So based on that, no, we'll have to consult the, whoever becomes the chairman of the committee. He has to be consulted before we fix a timeline.
So, but if I may ask a question, sir, you are coming to RBI as the 25th governor under unprecedented circumstances. If I may ask you a very frank and a candid and maybe a little blunt question, the relationship between the central government and the central bank has hit rock bottom. Will your priority be to first fix that relationship before some of the issues that you've listed out? The channels of communication seemingly are blocked.
No, I don't know about,
Venkatesh, and she joins us with what she made of the comments. Lata, his first concert, the right notes hit?
Well, certainly all the right points were made, and the overall tone was that the credibility and the autonomy and the independence of the central bank would be maintained. But the issues for which Patel fought and Patel resigned have not gone away. And therefore, we have to look for some key takeaways on how he would handle those issues. That was the first question put to him. How would he look at the board governance or board supervision of the Reserve Bank's actions? And there he said, I'm just quoting him, RBI must be independent, but must also be accountable. Now, that is giving away a bit that he may be able to live with board supervision, which the past RBI could not. I don't know whether that's the best outcome. We will have to wait and see whether, the board can be listened to a little more without allowing the board to dictate to the Reserve Bank. But I would watch that word. Yes, RBI has to be accountable. That might send a little bit of shivers down the spine of those who want RBI autonomy. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was at least partly the reason why you saw that kind of FII outflows. People would be worried. RBI's credibility will have to be proved anew. The second takeaway is that he definitely sounded dovish, with good reason. I mean, he pointed out that growth is also something which the Act requires the RBI. It requires the RBI to target inflation, keeping in mind the objective of growth. And he said he's not saying anything outside the Act, which was true. But he said inflation is benign and the inflation outlook is also benign. After this came the inflation numbers. So it does look like in the February policy, definitely a change in stances in the offing. Some in the market are also expecting a rate cut. So that was the second big takeaway, that growth will also be an objective, something which was put on the table. And there were questions also on MSMEs and credit to other segments. So, we expect that that was a dovish note. The third takeaway was that he's going to have a more consultative approach. And the first of it is the meeting of the PSU banks today morning ahead of the board meeting tomorrow, where they will discuss the prompt corrective actions rules. So you put two and two together, the impression that the market can run away with is that some of the banks could be taken out of the PCA, or the PCA rules itself could be diluted somewhat. Those were my three key takeaways.